How's it going? I'm well. How about yourself?
I'm thinking. I was gonna ask. Oh, I probably can ask you during the meeting, but the working plan, the planters. Or
So what's it look like as far as they read? In September.
yes, that's what it says.
Oh, yeah. You have to have at least 10 read.
No, I'm glad it's providing more space.
You have to have 10.
I have ideas.
Why?
Okay, thanks. I didn't dress. I was an email. Cinco de Mayo fiesta. I know. I wanted to ask. I'd rather just send it out to them. Did it start?
Yes.
Just waiting on Kalena.
So she's in the facility, right? Have they moved her yet?
No,
A meeting or
she's still in.
the whole meeting?
What?
She won't be here for the whole thing?
Physical speech.
Yeah.
But where is she? This is the hospital. Okay, no, she's still kind of, they think they've done an evaluation.
Or,
Everybody needs help now.
They saying they're able to, needs to move around. They can only do so much.
Oh, then that's way out there.
Well, they would attend.
Yeah, but, I mean, once she'll still get physical therapy.
Oh, yeah.
So that's.
And then, beyond that, if you have a place that thinks it'll work, it's kind of it's a big compound. And it has you, for people that are in pretty good shape, and then they grade in different.
Don't ever put me in one of those,
Yeah.
even if it's independent living,
Yeah.
because I know I'm
Yeah.
gonna go.
Well, that's what my mom said.
Back
We
door.
moved her in, she was worried. Yeah, she was worried. What happened, babe? There's some great organized, my dad was organized. Put all the money into this facility, or most of it. Because they wanted to use it. She didn't want to be.
Right.
And so, just don't count my blessings about that.
Yeah.
And, this world, good life. 65, 80.
Yeah, but we can't.
So,
Well, look at this.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, cancer.
I hope he hears.
Couldn't believe this world. I'm on the side. I mean, that was her choice. I mean, she didn't. So,
just saw Kalena pull up too. So.
Oh, awesome.
so they're looking at doing facility, but part of the facility is it's full right now, and we're trying to go to the field.
Maybe it'll work for me today. Oh, look at that, it does. Oh my goodness.
That's what you can.
Oh, no. So all of your life. I think it's like it. And so.
So they make you really angry.
What they, exactly. She just had, because here she had a little. Maybe they. But, they did a CAT scan. They stuff, and she's on a hard one. So I figured that would out, she was unresponsive. So it was like, hey. So anyway, she the latest is she got an MRI. I don't know if you're doing it. Well, you're on jail. Well, even if you know what
Even if they warn you.
I mean, all this noise, yeah. Start putting the helmet on. You can't believe it's just noise. Oh, it takes a while. So, I push the button, but they can't get it. Hey, I'll push the button.
Just say, "Get me out of here."
No, just they have it.
What's that? What was that? Just Anthony?
Breathe.
Sometimes they have to relax. What's something that
You can't do that.
So you have an option, you start talking. Relax.
Spanish.
But every step is
Stuff that's show up today.
sure. In fact, they give her a Saturday. She's of course. Whatever condition she's in. She's supposed to push a button. So okay, she needs milk. Like she wanted.
So one arm, turn, two.
He's been saying good morning all day.
Yeah.
Right.
But she knows.
That's okay, 'cause I saw that
Oh,
too.
yeah. There's no just. She was a little confused about where it was. She said something about or something. Let's see, I went home, she was talking about how the casinos were going back to us. Because I'm taking care of that business. Trying to anyway. I'm appreciating that. I started laundry.
All right, today is Monday, April 28th. The time is now 5:07 in the evening. We are here at the Mesilla Town Hall in the boardroom for a scheduled public hearing, which was scheduled for 5 o'clock, and that was for discussion of amendments to the code concerning fee schedules. But unfortunately, due to timing and everything to get that completed to the necessary steps that it needed to, we were not ready for that. So we will have to postpone that public hearing for that, and that will be rescheduled for a future date when we get to that point. So with that in mind, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is a work session that was supposed to immediately follow the public hearing. So with that work session today being Monday, April 28th, and the time is now 5:07, we are here at the Mesilla Town Hall in the boardroom for a work session with the Board of Trustees. Our first item on the work session agenda is ordinance amendments to Chapter 18 for the PZHAC Commission that was emailed to staff, and I have provided, I believe, did I provide a copy as well to you all? Mr. Salazar, if you would please.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, trustees. Yeah, this is a amendment request to Chapter 18.06, Planning and Zoning Historical Appropriateness Commission. We did have a hearing on April 21st, I believe that date was, last week. And basically what it is, in a nutshell, there's some small changes there, and we can go over them here, but I'll summarize it quickly, is that we did, by resolution, pass we passed for sorry, going getting a blank here, 2 alternate positions for the commissioners to be involved with our commission in case there was an absent in one of the seats, and the efforts to eliminate any possibilities of not meeting quorum. So just wanted to make sure we understand that, not even though we might at one time only end up with 3 or 4 commissioners, meaning having quorum will be 3 or more. We're not required to have all five, but we would like to have all five on the seat and while doing any kind of approvals or recommendations. So the very first amendment that we propose here at the beginning, I'm sorry, at page 2, 18.06.020 is the membership, ex officio members, appointed qualification terms and pay. One of the commissioners asked about the pay on it. Right now, we're not sure why it's there. They suggested if it's not in the near future, why have it there? So that is why it is crossed out and it's in red. In blue, it is an added comment or proposed added comment to our ordinance, which states up to 2 alternate commissioners can be appointed to the commission to participate in discussion, but will only be able to vote when one of the 5 commissioners is absent. Alternates are necessary to ensure quorum is established. The next proposed amendment or addition, if you notice, is on section C, just a couple paragraphs down. For one, on the first Planning, Zoning, Historical Appropriateness Commission, the majority of the members, which is 3, there was a question, at what point do you need, a simple majority? At what point do you need a major or a super majority? In the Planning and Zoning, I understand you don't need super majorities that you would here with the BOT. These are just that is why that number is said majority of the members, which is 3 out of 5 obviously is the majority, and it shall be appointed for 1 year, and so on and so on. And we just added those numbers on it to be a little bit more detailed as far as how many members we were talking about at the point. At the very end there, the paragraph says the current alternate commissioner will be considered before any new consideration is given to a new resident. So basically, if there is an opening in the alternate position for commissioners, or there's an opening in the commission, then the consideration obviously would be given first to the alternates because they've been involved with the meetings. They're kind of getting an idea how the process works and reading the code. So the consideration doesn't mean it's an automatic. All right, I want to make sure that that's clear. Just because an alternate doesn't mean that you automatically get first chance or first seats of that. It will definitely be heavily considered for that. But again, it's not an automatic. So, but we will be going through the applying process, the applications, the reviews and such as we always have. So that's what that section right there says. And then if you go down to section next page, 18.06.050, vacancy, appointing term. If a vacancy occurs on the Planning and Zoning Historical Appropriateness Commission, the mayor, with the advice and consent of the board of trustees, shall appoint a qualified person to fill such vacancy for the remainder of the unexpired term. An alternate commissioner will have first consideration as well. Again, this particular section dictates about the remainder term of that commissioner, which generally is toward the end of the year. At the bottom of that page, 18.06.070, meetings, place, quorums, and voting. Section C, a majority of the members, which is 3, of the Planning and Zoning Historical Appropriateness Commission shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of business. Proposed addition is alternates shall fill in for absent commissioners when possible, but not necessary if quorum is met. That is one of the questions that was brought up in one of our meetings, that it was their understanding that all 5 members needed to be present, if it's an alternate or not, in order for a quorum to be met, and that's not the case. Minimum is 3. Obviously, we want 5, and the alternates obviously would help us get there. On the next page, which is continuation of D, a motion shall carry upon the affirmative vote of the majority of the members of Planning and Zoning and Historical Appropriateness Commission present at a meeting. Chairperson will only vote when there is a tie to prevent a stalemate. That was the reason why we're proposing that. Again, we had maybe 2 that I can think of. One quite recently, to where there was a 2-2 vote, and that doesn't really do the trustees, this board, the governing board, much good with a tie. So the purpose of having similar to the governing board here, where the mayor does not vote, is some similar that we're doing. So where again, it does not end with the tie, and then either it's denied or is approved. So that's why we're recommending that. And then 18.06 section A2. We just added the zones, approved or disapproved application for businesses and so on historically zoned, and I just put R1, RA, and RF just to be a little bit more detailed, and eliminate some confusion if somebody might not quite understand that part. I believe that's the last of it. And I stand by for any questions.
Thank you, Eddie. Or Mr. Salazar. One of those things. Trustee Johnson Burek is not here this evening because she is sick. So she is not, but she wanted me to give some comments as well on this. And one of the things that she had just in discussion for the trustees, just in general, is under 18.06.020 for the membership on there under section C at the end, where we have the change for a current alternate commissioner will be considered first before any new consideration is given to a new resident. She said that that might be wise just to have given to a new applicant because the residency should be a part of the process when we're going through the application process for and determination for that. That was the reasoning and thought on that. So, and then, so any questions on that one for
Well,
trustee?
I had a similar comment because my suggestion was going to be a current alternate commissioner will be considered before any consideration is given to a new member applicant. And I would take out the new consideration out also.
The new consideration. And that was what the primary thing that Trustee Johnson Burek wanted to have in there or to be considered and thought of by the board. Something else that I think that is wise is under that same section, we should probably strike ex officio members, and a member of the board of trustees may be appointed as ex officio or non-voting member of the commission, and only because for the reason that none of us can be an ex officio member on that because of the de novo style of that the cases being heard. So that would be a recommendation that I have while we're looking at these here in specific. Any other discussion on the proposed changes in this for the commission? Yes, sir. Or questions, I should say.
Well, I just had another comment similar to it. Under 18.06.070 meetings under section D, I don't know, I was going to throw this out for consideration. Chairperson will only vote when there is a tie to prevent. Is there another word for stalemate? I was going to. In order to, when there is a potential for a tie vote, maybe. It's just an idea.
We can erase trustee Nevarez. Chairperson will only vote when there's a tie. I mean, the rest of it we can eliminate.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to change it.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
Let's see the sentence.
I think just those two changes makes it clearer, so if you, always the grammar's, right. So I think that's good, and I think that this really solves our dilemma without having forums sometimes, which we suffered through in the past, so I think this is really great. I mean, I do feel like, just in talking with them, the P&Z, do they not feel like if they devoted, a certain amount of time being alternates, that they are automatically put on the board if there's a fake case? I mean, is there a reason that we wouldn't do that? Like if they participated in a, way that is consistent and they have dedicated that time, and then an opening comes up on the P&Z, why wouldn't we just slide that person in there? They've already gone through the application and interview process to be an alternate. They participated as an alternate, they learned the process. Why wouldn't we automatically put them in there? I'm just asking, you know what I mean?
Well,
And and did they get to discuss it themselves at all? You know, the whole group of the P and Z people?
Yeah, I don't know, Mr. Mayor. I don't know, whenever the resolution was passed through this board, how the wording was, maybe I should have spent the time and researched that first. But the reason why it was worded this way is so that, it wouldn't seem like it was just one-sided, or it was just anybody would have an opportunity that still be involved with, because part of our code also does state that a resident can apply for, a position on the commission, and it doesn't really dictate so much or talk so much about the alternates. So to kind of limit some of that controversial, you know what I mean? It's just, they can still do it, but obviously a strong consideration, like I mentioned, will be given to the alternates because, like, as you mentioned, but I don't think the code or maybe to kind of like, not get into any controversial politics in the sense to where we wouldn't be able to consider anybody else besides the two that we have.
Yeah, I just see it kind of flipping the other way politically. Let's say that, and I don't mean politically like elections,
Yeah.
I mean like within
Mm-hmm.
the situation, is that people that have been working hard on as alternate P and Zs, and then somebody comes in and somebody likes them. I mean, and that's, and then there's favoritism towards a person that hasn't even dedicated the time to do it. So I can see it going both ways, I know that, and I see your point, that the whole code is built on having that process.
The application process.
Yeah, the application process and the interview process. And then and since we're adding alternates, that we would have to maybe clarify language a little bit more to make that certain, so there wouldn't be controversy, but I can see it maybe going even, I see what your point of view, but I also see that it would be kind of not, that we might get into it a little bit if a person just came in, a longtime resident or something, that put in their application, wanted to be heard, and that they got in instead of the alternates that have dedicated. But just a
It can go. I mean, I can go both. I mean, just being proposed.
Well, I'm going to follow up on that
Okay.
because it's just another idea.
Yeah,
Coming
yeah.
up with ideas.
Yes, that's.
But anyway, instead of putting it here, when the interviews are done, and I always thought about this, should people that have experience on planning and zoning, so should that be weighted into the application process, not the code itself, to allow for that? I don't know if that makes sense, but because in the past, we've had previous people that have worked with the planning and zoning or been on it, and they weren't appointed. Somebody brand new comes in, and so it doesn't make sense to me that occurs. But it's during that application process that I would like to see that receive some weight in the process. So, and then I had another question. I don't know if it's here, but if during the regular planning and zoning meetings, if there is an alternate or both alternates are present, when there's a quorum or there's all five show up, do they participate at all during the meetings?
Yeah, they are aware of that. I mean, they are learning, so they're not as active participating as as we would like them to. But yeah, they are aware that they do are able to participate. They're just not vote. And there's been some circumstances where they have made comments and stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay, I just had a question as to that part of because I've never attended one with alternates.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else, trustees? No. Recommended changes will be taken into consideration. We'll have legal review it, and we'll have it back to you for approval at the next board meeting.
With the resolution, right?
With the resolution, yes.
Got it.
It's a learning experience all around, let me tell you. What's that? Yeah, they're all over the place, let me tell you. Next item on the work session agenda is for ICIP capital planning and updating. I did provide you some documentation with that. Sorry, I tried to organize it a little bit, but I think it's a little out of order. I did provide you with the current ICIP listing so that we have that that's for 27 to 31. It does have that. Well, really it's 26 to 31 that does have all of that information in there. And as we have it planned out and what we submitted as of last year, and this is what we have to update and include projects for 31, but also we can reweight a bunch of the projects that we have in here. The ones that we have in here, let's see if they have. So we have for our 27 funding, just for purposes for the working on our way down on here. The signage replacement for the 27, we did receive that 25,000. The Marshal's Department for vehicle purchases, we did receive that 75,000. Roadway improvements for phase 2, we did receive that 200,000. For the boardroom facility and town hall addition, we did receive 150,000 of that 2.8 million. The planters was not received. The tables and umbrellas was not received. The community center security and internet for 177,000 was received. And then the playground equipment purchase for 75,000 was received as well in capital purchases. We do have a grant request out for our historic inventory update. We do have a grant request out for Paisano road reconstruction. And we will have in this upcoming year a change on that. So security access control is one that I'm looking for right now. That's for this building and upgrades to this building. And then the water system, we do have 120 that has been allocated year to date on that. And that 4.6 million will actually be going down to about 1.8 million in the cost of updating the new tank and well to the water system. And that'll be another grant agreement through Colonias that we look at in this next year. So just to give updates on the 2027 priorities in there. So those priorities that were not funded or fully funded in 27 or in this year for the upcoming fiscal year will probably move forward to 28 as well to be a request for next year unless and through capital planning and spending unless otherwise noted by you all as the board in ranking if you want to move anything there. I did want to note before we go through everything and take a look at all of that is that in the last 2 weeks, I did have a community meeting where I brought everybody together. Not everybody, but quite a few residents came to 2 meetings that I had set, one for the morning and one for the evening to give an update on community projects that we have, also to do kind of a community work session on the project planning and things to that extent. Trustee Merrick or Mayor Pro Tem, thank you for coming in the morning to participate in that and be there with the residents there. And Trustee Cadena, thank you for coming in the evening one to participate in that one as well. As you saw, it was a little interactive and a little kind of a learning experience. And Trustee Nevadas, I know you were out of town, so well excused for sure. So yeah, enjoying that time for sure. But what we did is Jacob helped put the list together based off of the cards that we had or the sheets we had hanging on the walls with each of the main headers and the ideas under those headers, and then the number of check marks that we had. For those of you that were present, you'd know that we had kind of a generalized idea, and if people liked the idea generally, there was check marks that were put next to them, and then if there were more targeted information or was more targeted information, it was written down on a sticky note. And some of the sticky notes even had extra checks next to them on that, so that were put in there. So we did go through each one of these, and they're highlighted. I highlighted the ones that typically had in each category the most amount of checks next to them, and minus the ones, I should say, the ones that are in green had the most checks overall when we look at it as a total. So some of the main priorities that I think would be great for us to look at that are probably already included in our list of capital improvements that we want to plan. At the very end, you see additional thoughts and feedback and other ideas. Those are all listed in this. And that's kind of where we're at on that. So, and of course, trustees, if you have any other thoughts or ideas and feedback that you've received on any of these, I think that it's wise that we add these in here. Majority of these are already, I shouldn't say a majority of them are already in here, but some of them are already planned. When we go to just starting at the top, if we look at town hall, park equipment and upgrades, that's where that funding for this year, we did receive that 75,000 to put towards playground equipment, and it was intended to go into that park in specific. But as you see, the residents also noted with overwhelming support that a shade structure for picnic area in that park would also be an idea that they would like to see. So that's an easy thing for us to add to the ICIP for this next year, if you would like that, or in not necessarily this next year, but any future years as well. Commemorative park and updates there. There was the idea of a splash pad or some sort of interactive water feature using with the specific notation for using recycled water potentially in that area. That one received some high support, but really adding some sort of public restroom or drinking fountain with a drinking fountain with a water bottle filler in particular to that park was there. And then the last one there was improved the lighting for evening use with shutting them off by 10 p.m. was the next highest one on that one. In general, under Parks and Recreation, recreational courts received some high checks, whether that be for notations for renovating existing courts, which we will be renovating the one court across from the community center, but really building courts to host tournaments and community events, Mesilla-based teams and tournaments. And another notation for no pickleball courts in residential areas due to being no noisy, but the potential also, and later on in that pickleball courts going out into a different area near La Llorona Park and the trailhead out there. Another idea for outdoor fitness areas received high marks. One of the highest marks there across the board in all of the feedback received was for art installations and cultural storytelling spaces in all of our parks as it pertains to that. An outdoor performance stage with a notation near the river or the La Llorona trailhead, and then multi-use trails for looped paths received received high marks as well. Public safety for fire station, the fire station construction for the town hall phase here received high marks. Safe route to school improvements received higher marks, and then crosswalk enhancements. In particular notations of Calle del Norte, Calle de San Albino, Calle de Guadalupe, and then some of the other areas where there's roadway blockage is something that the Public Works team and I can look into. Public facilities for our community center to have development on that. In there. utilities and the generalized environment, looking at solar system upgrades for public spaces, and really received some of the highest marks as well. And then, as you see there, for the utilities environment, the tree planting and shade canopy expansion, with the use of local trees for low water usage, and green infrastructure and xeriscaping gardens, received high marks on there. Under historic preservation, that's what we're known for. So I'm glad to see a lot of that receive some high marks in there, with restoration of historic buildings, murals and cultural storytelling installations are again, and then facade preservation incentives of historic for historic buildings. Infrastructure, town signs received high marks. Wastewater utilities across the board, I think, received some high marks to focus on for infrastructure, and then traffic calming features. So just to touch on some of those. Some of these we do, as I mentioned, have already listed in our capital improvements plan as it is, but it's good to see some of the specific notations in here for some of the targeted areas as well. And with that, I guess we can talk about priorities to be added, number one, and then any type of ranking that you might feel on that. Trustee Nevares.
Right, since I couldn't make it to the meetings, but I was wondering if there was discussions on the regarding the plaza or any ideas related to the plaza, except for the papel picado, which I support.
Yeah, no,
which I
we
support.
did have that. Well, it wasn't specific for the plaza itself, but there was a recommendation, and I think it's
in there.
it's in here at the end to have those hanging up more frequently and more often throughout town spaces.
Because I think it would enhance the atmosphere within the town, I think, and improve, what do you call it, the reflect for who we are. The other question I had about the
Right,
plaza,
your
but it's
other-
not in here. Are there any ideas eventually to have some kind of shade structures for the events that are on the plaza itself? Any kind of shade?
You know what? That's an idea that we can definitely propose and look at. I don't know how the residents feel about that, so that would have to be something that
Yeah,
we would
I mean,
have a
I'm
lot
talking
of.
about temporary shading that could be retracted or removed.
Yeah.
So-
And I know we had looked at the thought of doing some sales as temporary, and I've talked about that with Dorothy and Lorenzo before, and doing that as temporary. So that might be something that's there that goes up and down. But we're gonna test it a little bit to this upcoming Fiesta, where we will have a tent over the bleachers in specific. To help out with a little bit more shade on the plaza. But we'll have that. Our biggest concern was really that's kind of a focal point in the central area, and covering it up might not have the best look that we're really going for.
Okay, because people do suffer
In the heat, and that's on the sides. That's where we were taking the sales into consideration as well.
And another question, because we have fiestas and the tent goes up and it's up right now for the upcoming fiesta.
Mhm.
Could consideration be given to maybe along this perimeter of the tent to put papel picado to make it a little bit more?
Mhm. Yeah, those are easy. I think we did that last year, right? Putting the little banners around the tent. I thought we did with the
I
extra
don't
ones.
remember that.
Okay. What else?
On the commemorative park, were there presence from that neighborhood that's right next to it, Messia Farms, or any comments from that area? Because they often have comments about different things regarding that part of it.
Trying to remember if there were any. I don't recall
Alright.
any residents from there. And that is funding also that is marked. Is it on here? Where is it at? because we did receive commemorative park. It's down here on
That's second page.
that for commemorative park upgrades. We did receive 125,000 as well in capital for that first phase of commemorative park, which I did put in there as thoughts on that for those improvements. So we'll continue to have more community meetings on how that funding can be utilized. And I did other things on here that we did apply for grants for was the community center upgrade. Or not community, the visitor center. Oh, I want to call it the community center.
We used to find some affordable kind of shades, so we have activities in community park, we can move them there, we can have them at Fiesta. I mean, just because it's so hot and it's gonna be cooler, I don't think, and I think we get more people out just because they know to be shaded, like in the middle of the day and stuff like that, which, sometimes keep people at home in the middle of summer, even if you get home. And that way we can move this from the parking place. And it really encourages more people to take these, have picnics or parties, things that are local.
Right.
And if they could, we could set that up somehow.
Will be added to priority for this coming year. One of the other things that I want to say that did receive funding here is our under the 2028 is electric vehicle charging equipment, where it says 300,000 on there. We actually will be receiving $1 million worth of vehicle charging stations, and they should be installed this next month. So there'll be four charging stations total. So any other updates or projects? On here, also other funding that we've gone for, where you see under most endorsed ideas at the bottom, public facilities for community center development, where it has the community center development received 5 checks with the notation of a back patio. That's actually here at the visitor center. Was that thought? And then, well, I guess it could be the community center too. But the second notation on there for a reading room and library for the seniors to read to kids, and then also a place where books can be checked out for free, as well as continued exercise classes. So we are working on that presently, where we do have a Pilates class that's actually being offered complimentary to residents presently. That will start getting a little bit more promotion out to our residents for that. That is Mondays and Thursdays from 4:30 to 5:30. There's the thought of another resident that would like to do to some Tai Chi classes. So that might be an option. They're working with Dorothy on that. And then I did apply for some funding through the aging and long-term services to see about getting pool tables, ping pong tables, couches, as well as bookshelves to go into the community center itself, so that gives a little bit more infrastructure for our seniors, since it is a senior community center, but really our residents as a whole. So hopefully we'll receive some of that funding as well. So just putting that out there. So other projects that have already been talked about here are things that we've started working on kind of in the background already. Other projects other than some shade for our parks? Sounds like it's overwhelming. We need shade, so, right? Not just the plaza, but
I just think it would really bring people out in the middle of it. I mean, because you're just waiting till it gets cooler, or you're only out in the morning because it's too hot. I was gonna ask you about the sewer. You know, we heard for years that they couldn't do anything about, moving sewer, changing from septic to sewer lines. I mean, where would that do that? I mean, because like at my place, they say that, it's just not possible because of we're lower than the so like it's got a kind of sewer. They have septic too, don't they? Not septic. Everybody does. Yeah, I wonder.
well, I think that's what we look at, and that's where, in planning, and that's why we have this in here is looking at what sewer line extensions look like, because that is part of a phase planning in that's already thought of here. But really, in the thought of that is also to take some of that funding and see if we can actually come up with a physical plan and a long-term plan for water line replacement, for sewer line replacement, for road replacement, and really create that engineering and public work, all of that, so that we plan. I know that Senator Hamlin did put forth a bill last session that was actually signed by the governor about a month ago, and that helps out with connection fees and costs on the municipality side, and really to help out the residents with that, as well as another bill that was introduced to help out with the actual infrastructure and planning going in, and the support on that, because that's our necessity and need for wastewater services is not unique by any means. So it's a thing across the entire state. So it's something that the legislators are also working on and helping to provide secured funding to make that happen. So as soon as all of those come out, we'll have policies that will be put into place to help out our residents in particular on that.
I mean, it seems like that would be more like basic infrastructure versus, yeah.
It's just-
versus what we want, this is what we need.
It's the cost of sewer lines in particular, because the sewer is the cost of that is significant compared to the cost of fresh water. But we can plan that all out. Any other project ideas here?
Just from the meetings and looking at all of this, I think and talking with residents, their biggest comments and check marks during these meetings was they just want to improve our public spaces and the activities and the things we can do in public spaces. So a lot of trails and walking and like Trustee Novara said, just things to really beautify and show off our plaza area and our parks. And I think that's something we can look at off this list to kind of see what we can do grant wise, or whether we put this on our ICIP.
Great. I do want to note that I am working with a resident right now who's wanting to donate some property to the town. So when we figure out the details on that, we will move forward to see if the board is in favor of the potential of that and how that works. So and then there would be also, we're noting that we're going for the CLG certification. And with that certification, there will be grants that will be available for residents for reconstruction as well. Through that we will be able to help with targeted issuing, but it'll also be applicable to historic preservation and restoration in all of this. So hopefully working closely with Cadencia Mi Masia and really getting that part going. Any other questions on that? No? So on the next meeting, I'll have this updated with, Brianna will help me get this taken care of, and we'll have that for your approval so that way we can get that submitted. But in the meantime, if you think of any other projects or changes on here, please make sure that you get that to myself or to Gloria so that way we can get that capital planning updated on there. Next item on that work session agenda is budget planning for position control. This is just for conversation pieces. So that's the bigger worksheets that I have here for you. In all of this, the budget planning for the position control, we have the worksheet as we provided it to you last year. It does have I do have 2 sheets here for you just for discussion and thought and looking at it is the overall team, current hourly, and then with the proposed increase with the COLA for 3%. The second page is a proposed increase with the COLA and an additional 2% increase there for the team as a whole. So a 5% total increase in their salaries. I do want to note that the reason why I'm pushing for the 5%, and we'll look at that as we go through the preliminary budget in the next meeting. Really dive into all of that information. Is that as a whole, we're seeing that the town's insurance prices and costs for insurance, as well as all of the other related taxes, are having a significant increase. What was that increase, Gloria? So that's the anticipated increase for this next year. So that's why we want to try to give a little bit more to our team. And I will note that as you've seen the sheets coming through with all the budget so far for the team overall, and the performance that we've had for the town, they've been running a good budget for all of their departments and a tight ship overall, really focusing on where money's being spent and how money's being spent. So it's something to take into consideration, and I just want to bring this up in there. The totals at the very bottom right-hand corner are what you would see as the total increases in the 3% versus the 5% as that total in there. So almost $50,000 in total salary increase in that. Any questions on salaries? And of course, I'll bring this all forward to you in the full packet when we go through preliminary. I just wanted to make sure that we touch on some of these things ahead of time. Any other questions or anything there? Great. Fantastic. Next item on that work session agenda, budget planning for the revenue projections. So I did have, Gloria did provide the GRT revenue projections in here. This does include this last, the last money coming in this month in there, which I did not include in the worksheet in the back there for you. But as you can see, projected revenues are a little bit just overall down for the year from what we were anticipating and what we had originally budgeted. But I feel confident in saying that we'll meet that revenue of what we had projected. Because if you notice at the beginning of the year where we started off in the deficit in that projection from what we were receiving in just GRT alone, We were in a deficit year over year, but we quickly made that up in the past couple of months. And I think we're going to really see that come forward in the next 2 months in particular, and the money that's being received from GRTs. What you have highlighted in the revenue estimates, and that's what I've highlighted. Here's other areas to take into consideration. So GRT, and what we see there, you can see that the current budget amount is already over that line there for the most part. It's some of the other equivalents that we have in there that are down just a tad bit, but overall we will be up and over. When we go into the licensing and permits and going into that, with some of the changes in ordinances that we have done recently, with the addition of the short-term rental in particular, we will see a little bit of an increase in the business licenses as well as the other permitting fees that are associated with that. Not a huge bump in that, but we will see an increase in that, as well as other administrative fees that are being proposed in line with the late fees for businesses when they have when they're late in paying their business licensing fee. And that's where we're at with that on that side. Any
Awesome.
questions on that?
No.
Great. I love when we have a full room, especially with the little ones. And with that, I will say, if there are no other questions, trustees, no?
No.
Fantastic. As there are no other questions, the time is now 5:56, and the work session portion of this agenda is adjourned. The next, immediately following the work session, and since we have 3 minutes until 6 with a full room, we'll go ahead and go right into our regularly scheduled meeting. So with that being noted, today is Monday, April 28th. The time is now 5:57 in the evening. We are here in the Mesilla boardroom at the Mesilla Town Hall for the regularly scheduled Board of Trustees meeting. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody will please stand with me.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next order of business is roll call and determination of a quorum. Gloria, if you would, please. Present.
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 Great. And Trustee Johnson Burek did note that she is out sick and will not be joining us this evening for the meeting. Next item on the agenda is any changes and approval of the agenda. And if there are no changes, if I can have a motion to.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Trustee Nevadas, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick. And if there is no discussion or objection, the motion will carry with unanimous consent. Thank you for approval of the agenda as it has been shown. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda, which does include the BOT minutes for our April 14th, 2025 public hearing and regular meeting, a purchase requisition for RT Electric in the amount of $5,673.41, approval of PZHAC case at 061986 for 2600 Avenue of the Mesilla, submitted by Velia Chavez, requesting approval to replace 2 plastic sheds on our commercial property with 1 pre-manufactured shed in the commercial zone. The approval of sign permit 061987 1730 Tierra de Mesilla, Suite 1, submitted by Joy Duche, seeking permission to put up a sign for her business, Get It Together Therapy. She's a licensed clinical social worker in the commercial zone. Approval of sign permit 061990 for 2309. Number 3, Calle de San Albino, submitted by Michael Stratton, requesting a sign permit for a projection sign in front of his new store for his homemade body care products. Sign brackets are in place from the previous owner in the historic commercial zone. Approval of PZHAC sign case 061994 by the town of Mesilla, submitting a sign application to install a 5-foot high by 15-foot wide plastered wall to hang a Parque de Cura sign in front of in the front, along with 4 historic plaques on the back at Parque de Cura in the historic commercial zone.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena. And if there is no discussion or objection, the motion will carry as it's been moved. Seeing as there's no objection, thank you for approval of the consent agenda that does include the BOT minutes for our April 14th public hearing and regular meeting. The purchase requisition for RT Electric, the approval of PZHAC case 061986, approval of sign permit case 061987, approval of sign permit case 061990, and approval of PZHAC sign case 0611994. Next item on the agenda is presentations. We do have a proclamation to be read this evening for Bike to School on that.
Mayor and trustees and members of the public, my name is Ashley Curry. I'm the Safe Routes to School coordinator. Thank you so much for having us today for our proclamation for National Bike to School Day and for National Bike Month for the month of May. We're here with our Two Wheel Tuesday group today, and they are going to be reading parts of the proclamation. Thank you so much.
Bicycling is an affordable, healthy, and environmentally friendly mode of transportation and an excellent form of recreation that brings people together, reduces traffic congestion, and promotes physical and mental well-being.
Whereas the town of Mesilla is committed to providing safe and accessible bicycling infrastructure for residents and visitors to promote a culture of active transportation and outdoor enjoyment.
Whereas the town attracts visitors from around the world who come to this experience its historical sites, vibrant local businesses, and traded southwestern charm, further enhancing an harmonic and cultural vow and whereas the Language League of the American Bicyclists as a designated May as a National Bike of the Month to celebrate the benefits of bicycles and encourage more individuals to ride bikes as a name of transportation designs and Worksession and
That's me. Whereas Safe Routes to School's National Bike to School Day will be celebrated at Masia Elementary on May 7th, 2025, and provides students, parents, and educators with an opportunity to promote safety, physical activity, and environmental awareness through biking to school. And
whereas increasing bicycle commuting and recreational riding helps improve public health, reduces carbon emissions, and enhances the overall quality of life for all residents, and
now, therefore, the Board of Trustees of the Town of Masia, New Mexico, does hereby proclaim May 2025 as Bike Month in the Town of Masia and encourages all residents to participate in bicycling activity, support safe cycling initiatives, and recognize the importance of a bike-friendly community.
Right. Signed, sealed, and proclaimed this 28th day, April 25, 2025. Russell Hernandez, Mayor, Town of Masia.
thank you so much. We have a few students who'd like to say some additional comments. Would you like to say your comments?
I like to ride my bike. I like to ride my bike at Tario Tuesday. I love how we ride our bike to school. It is very healthy for every morning.
No.
Thank you again so very much. And we invite you to come and ride your bikes with us. It's a really wonderful opportunity. If you can't make it on the official day of May 7th, please feel free to join us any Tuesday that school's on. We meet at the plaza at 7:20. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to all of our students there as well that came and joined us for that. Next item on the agenda is a proclamation for the National Day of Prayer to be read. Would you like to read or would you like me to?
Whoops, this thing slides around. Now, my eyes are pretty weak, so I'm going to ask my wife, Isela, to read it. Okay, Mayor and Board of Trustees, it's quite an honor to be here and be able to present this proclamation supporting the National Day of Prayer. It's really quite encouraging to see the young ones here experiencing this. And of course, this historical town with its strong faith-based citizens, it's still strong. And thank God for that, right? So without further, I'll have Isela read this. Where are you, dear? Yeah.
Thank you very much. I got it.
Got it.
Pour out to the God of hope and be filled. Romans 15:13. Whereas the 74th observance of the National Day of Prayer will be held on Thursday, May the 1st, 2025. Prayer brings people together in the unity of spirit, truth, and love. Appropriately, the theme for this year is pour out to the God of hope and be filled, Romans 15:13. And whereas a National Day of Prayer has been part of our national heritage since it was declared by the First Continental Congress in 1775, and whereas the United States Congress in 1952 approved as a joint resolution that the President shall set aside and proclaim a suitable day each year, other than a Sunday, as a National Day of Prayer, on which the people of the United States may turn to God in prayer and meditation at churches, in groups, and as individuals. And whereas the United States Congress in 1988, by Public Law 100-307, as amended, established an act to provide for the setting aside the first Thursday in May is the date on which the National Day of Prayer is celebrated. And whereas leaders and citizens of our communities, cities, states, and nations are afforded the privilege of prayer with the joy of seeking divine guidance, strength, protection, and comfort from Almighty God. And whereas recognizing the love of God, we citizens of the town of Mesilla, New Mexico, treasure the freedom to gather in prayer, exercising reliance on God's power in the face of present challenges and threats, asking for his blessing on every individual of our town. And now, therefore, we, Mayor Russell Hernandez, and the trustees of the town of Mesilla, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim May 1st, 2025 as a day of prayer. Thank you.
Thank you. It's fantastic. And then to finish off, throughout the town of Mesilla, New Mexico, and we commend this observance to all of our citizens. In witness thereof, I have unto set my hand and cause the great seal of the town of Mesilla, New Mexico, to be affixed on this date, April 28th, 2025. So,
Once again, thank you. And I was just given a directive here not to talk too long, okay? So you've had a long meeting here with the work session and everything. So bless all of you for what you're doing for this wonderful community. In the name of our Lord and Savior. Amen.
thank you. The next item on our agenda is another presentation for a proclamation. And this proclamation, I just want to note that it is here, but will actually be read at our Cinco de Mayo opening ceremony rather than this evening. And it is in celebration of a dedication for the dance culture and community by Las Perlitas de Pueblo, who will be retiring their services that they've done for the town after this last fiesta. So that we will have that proclamation read during that. Next item on the agenda is a presentation by Beasley Mitchell for FY 23-24 audit, in which you do have the packet there.
Hello, my name is Hannah Lee.
And I'm Carmen Spivey.
And we're from Beasley Mitchell and Company, here to present our results of the audit for the town of Mesilla for the financial year ended June 30, 2024. So at the beginning of the financial statements, you'll see our independent auditor's report that shows everything from the audit. At the top is our opinion of the audit. So you can see that in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above presented fairly in all material respects. The financial position of the governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund, the aggregate remaining fund information, the respective budgetary comparison for the general fund and major special revenue funds, and the respective changes in financial position of the town as of June 30, 2024. So that is an unmodified audit opinion, meaning that we believed that the financial statements were presented fairly. Additionally, the responsibilities of management for the audit were to collect the financial information and prepare the financial statements. And then our responsibilities of the audit were to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole were free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. Again, we gave an unmodified opinion, meaning we believe they were presented fairly. After our audit report, you'll see the government-wide financial statements. So these financial statements give an overview of the entity as a whole, including governmental and business type activities. These financial statements will also include long-term items such as fixed assets, long-term payables, compensated absence, and net pension liability. Next, on pages 10 through 17, you will see the financial statements of the major funds. These will not include the long-term items and instead show the assets and liabilities and the revenues and expenditures for the major funds, which are going to be the general fund and the fire fund. Like I said, these just include the major funds, and all of the non-major funds will be shown in the back of the financial statement separately as well. But you can see that they're totaled in their own column there as non-major funds. And then right after the major fund financial statements, you will see the budget and the statement of the budget and actual comparison for the major funds, for the general fund on page 18 and the fire fund on page 19. During the audit, we are required to review budgets for all of the funds, but in the financial statements, only the major fund are presented. Great. And then after the budget and actual comparisons, you will see the financial statements for the proprietary funds. This includes the water and wastewater funds. And these are going to be on pages 21 through 25, including the statement of net position, the statement of revenues, expenses, and change in net position, and the statement of cash flows for the water and wastewater funds. And then next, you'll see the financial statements for the custodial funds on page 27 and page 28. This includes the statement of fiduciary net position and the statement of changes in fiduciary net position. Perfect. And after that set of financial statements, we will get to the notes of to the financial statements. So the notes of the financial statements are going to be on pages 30 through 66. And these will include supporting information for items in the financial statements, such as cash, fixed assets, long-term debt, pension liability, and others. One that I wanted to highlight for this year is going to be the capital assets note on page 48. So you can see the balance as of June 30, 2023, the additions and transfers for the year, and then the balance as of June 2024. This year, you can see you had total additions to machinery and equipment of $840,200. One of the major items in that category was the new street sweeper for $306,000. And then after the notes of the financial statements, we'll see some required supplementary information on pages 68 to 73. This info is all related to the net pension plan. And this information is all prepared by the state. We just go through and extract the town of Macia's information and present it in the financial statements. And after this required supplementary information, you will see some more supplementary information on page 77 through 88. This is where you will see the financial statements for all of the non-major funds. And then at the back of the financial statements, we have another audit report relating to internal controls over financial reporting. This report states that in the audit, we consider Town of Macia's internal controls over financial reporting in order to determine our audit procedures, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the internal controls themselves. And this report will also include the findings for the year. And so that leads us to the audit, the summary of auditors' results. So again, on page 92 here, we've got that the type of report issued was unmodified, meaning we did not believe there were any material misstatements to the financial statements. However, we did identify some material weaknesses, some significant deficiencies, and some non-compliance, which we would go over on page 93 in the summary of findings. So this page, you can see last year's findings as well as this year's findings. This year, we had in the prior year, we had 7 findings, 3 of which were resolved in the current year, and 4 of which were modified and repeated. So I'll go over the resolved ones here. The first one that was resolved it was a finding related to not having a certified procurement officer for a period of time during the 2023 audit. That was resolved this year, as y'all do have a certified procurement officer now. The next one was a finding related to no written approval of adjusting entries. And this year we determined that the town has implemented a approval process for adjusting journal entries. So that was resolved as well. And then the last one that was resolved was related to prior period adjustments for fixed asset reconciliation. Last year in the audit, there was a prior period adjustment that had to be made. However, this year, we did not have to make a prior period adjustment as fixed assets was appropriately reconciled. And I'll pass it off to Carmen to talk about the other findings that were in the audit this year.
Thank you, Hannah. So as Hannah mentioned, there was 4 findings that were modified and repeated from last year to this year, and there is also 1 new finding. I'll go over the modified and repeated findings. The first one is related to cash reconciliation. This is considered a material weaknesses. The condition is that a difference of $8,224 was found due to improper reconciliation in the pooled cash. What does this mean? That we don't believe money is missing. There's no $8,000 that are missing, but we do think that there's an issue with the way that you are reconciling your big account to all funds in itself. This is something that happened last year as well, and we've recommended that the bank reconciliations are done timely and they have a review process in place to ensure that all this is reconciled. The town is working on it and ensure that bank reconciliations are done in a timely manner. The town has also already contacted the system provider because through some digging and making sure what was wrong with it, we understand that it might be related to the way the system is working and reconciling your cash balances. So the town has already attempted to resolve this finding, and they're working on resolving all of this throughout the previous months. So that way, this is not a repeated finding in the next year. So we're hoping that by 2025 audit, this should be resolved. The second finding that was modified and repeated is related to budget violations. As this finding says, the town exceeded its budgetary authority at the end of the fiscal year and 8 funds, meaning that they had more expenditures than what they were budgeted for. We had recommended that the town reviews the 2025 budget to ensure that the expenditures are accounted for, and that throughout the year, this is a process that is done by the board in town. So that way you guys can submit any bars or budgetary adjustments throughout the year and ensure that at the end of the year, you're not over budget. If you continue to do so diligently, we believe that is the finding that won't be repeated in the next year. The third finding that was modified and repeated is related to the capital assets listing. Although the town had every department perform inventory count and is working on updating finalizing fixed assets, we still had some differences that we had to reconcile throughout the year. So we're hoping this year this has been resolved and you continue to update throughout the year your fixed asset listing. I know that Gloria and everybody else in the department is already working on this to make sure that you guys have, at the end of the day, the balances that you should have. So as the previous finding, this is something that we do not expect to be repeated in the next year. Related to capital assets is the fourth repeated finding, that is the annual inventory certification. At the end of the year, the board is required to certify your listing of fixed assets. Since this listing was not maintained, a certification did not happen. So we do recommend that at the end of the year, you implement a system to accurately track and maintain the changes in the inventory so it can be certified at the end of the year. As I mentioned, this is something that is in progress and you are currently working on fixing. So we do not believe it would be repeated in the next year. So out of the 4 modified and repeated, all of them should be resolved by the next year. And then for 2024, there was one new finding. This was related to per diem and is classified as other non-compliance. So during our testing of per diem, there was one exception noted where the lodging rate was over the limit with no approval. So although there is a 215 limit per night, if this exceeds the limit, it can be approved. But since this wasn't approved, then it's considered a non-compliance. We already talked to finance about this and having an approval process, and this is already in progress throughout this year. So that way, next year this won't be repeated. So I think that's all the findings. As I said, 4 modified and repeated, 1 new one, but all of them are expected to be resolved within the next year.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, please let us know if you have any questions.
Trustees, any questions? No? Thank you very much for your
Awesome.
time.
Thank you. Thank you for management, mayor, and everybody for providing us all the information necessary. And have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public input on cases, where the public is invited to address the board on the cases that are being heard this evening. If there's any public input on the cases being heard, if you would step to the podium and state your name for the record.
Good evening. I come before you because I do have some concerns, but I see that it's only regarding the agenda items that are following. But there is one in particular that I'm very concerned about, and it is regarding a resolution expressing the intent of the governing body of the town of Mesilla to designate Doña Ana County Magistrate Court as a court having jurisdiction over town of Mesilla municipal ordinance pursuant to applicable state law. What is the reasoning behind this resolution? There is no explanation that is given on the packet that is attached. The other is, I did speak to Judge Di Matteo today, and he was just made aware of the forming of a municipal ordinance jurisdiction advisory committee. In my opinion, is definitely a lack of transparency. To just notify the judge that this is what you're considering is very unprofessional. Shouldn't the residents be involved in making this decision? It is a municipal court, therefore it involves all residents. Why are you wanting to vote on this? And why don't we put it on the ballot in November and let the residents decide if we want to keep our court or not? The other is that if you're having trouble with the judge and the decisions he is making, there is a process that you can do. And from my understanding is that seems to be the issue. The officers are not happy with the judge based on decisions that he has made. And there you can always report it to the Judicial Standards Commission. There's a process. You can't just eliminate the court and then we get a new judge and then we bring it back. I mean, that's ridiculous, in my opinion. I know it has happened in the past that the officers have not been happy with some of the judges that we have. It's always nice to just have a sit down with the judge, express the concerns, and ultimately, the judge is the one that makes that final decision. The courts it's not a money-making revenue source for the town of Mesilla. Even though we do receive revenue, it does not, it's not a money-maker for the town of Mesilla. So the other is, it has to do with animal control, so it's not one of the items, so I'll talk about it later. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Prado. Any other public comment?
It's cold in here. Yolanda Lucero. Thank you, Mayor, Board of Trustees. I'm just here to talk about business registration, and you've got it, Resolution 2025-31. I don't know if it would apply, but I also feel like there's been a lack of transparency. I came last February to renew my business license, and received the letter for $35. I came to renew it. So fine, he said, I can't get you the certificate today, but you can come back. I said, could you just mail it? Well, the time went by. I totally forgot about my business license. And so I said, you know what? I called. He says, well, you need to come pick it up. So life happened. And I barely came back last week, I think it was, when I dropped off my lodger's tax. And I came to pick up my business license, and I was told that I owed $65. And I said, why? Well, it turns out that it's because of a registration fee. And I said, have Leona call me, because I didn't know anything about the registration fee. And so she called me. This was Thursday. I called again today because I didn't get any word. And then I was told that it was a registration fee of $65. I guess the short-term rental was approved. Well, I didn't receive notice through the mail that it was approved. I didn't receive notice that there was an increase. So that's why I came that day and paid the $35. Come to find out, now I owe $50 late fee. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't receive a notice in the mail that the ordinance was approved and the fees or anything. So that is my concern. And to me, again, lack of transparency, because I didn't receive any information. None of us did. Anyway, that is my concern. Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Lucero. Any other public comment? Okay, seeing as there's no other public comment, we'll move into our next item on the agenda, which is action and consideration under new business. Item A, discussion of audit findings and responses. So I just want to kick off that discussion on there with the findings, as the auditors had pointed out on here. So just to start off with the letter that will be sent out, you'll see the letter that was sent out last year, something similar based upon the findings that we have here will be sent out on this with the approval there. With the differences here for the first item for cash reconciliation and material weakness, with that difference, Gloria actually found that, correct, Gloria? And it's actually something that dates back from many years ago. And so since 2004, there's been that reconciliation issue, and we've been trying to figure it out for even last year, and I know in previous administration, trying to figure it out, and finally, Gloria found it. Knock on wood. Yeah. So this one should fully balance and be reconciled in this year, and we should have no issues there. In the budget violations and the transfers there, Gloria's been working on cleaning that up, just as she says every meeting. I'm working on that, and we're constantly making the transfers and doing that. You see the bars that are brought to you, and we're working on continually making that cleaner and clear, and really reconciling in this. You'll notice in this upcoming preliminary budget, when we present it to you, that we're reconciling the departments and putting some funds together to really keep those funds a little bit tighter, a little bit cleaner, in a little bit more control and oversight from finance department in certain areas in particular. So you'll see that coming up in here, and that review on that part. The capital assets listing, as it was mentioned already, on that, we're working on that inventory, getting that going, as well as the annual inventory certification to get to you. Brianna is working on that with all the departments and the department heads to have to you. We were hoping to have at this meeting, but unfortunately, due to other personal issues, we're not able to do that, to have that. So we will have that to you at the next meeting for your approval. So that should resolve that one in light of that. And then the last one on per diem, that was from a lodging receipt on there. And that was just on a hotel stay for one of the team members that did take an overnight trip out to one of the other, to a larger conference with that. And I mean, it's just one of those things, and we'll have that reviewed by the board if we do have those come through as it has been recommended by the auditors on that. Great. Any other discussion on the audit findings and the responses on those guys?
The inventory list, have we ever had a complete one at any point in time or no?
We had a good inventory list of the physical tangible items that were put in this last year that we worked on and updating all of that with all of the equipment and everything to that extent. But what we're really looking at is updating it with the full amount, including all of the road infrastructure, all of the water lines, all of those projects that have been approved over the years and the lifespan of those projects, and really having that updated and in detail as that full capital assets listing.
Okay.
To answer your question for you. Any other questions or discussion on that? No? All right. Next item on the agenda is the approval of resolution 2025-26 for the FY24 audit acceptance. I can have a motion.
Oh,
please.
so moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena. I will open it up for discussion. Okay. No discussion? Gloria, if you would roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Thank you very much for approval of resolution 2025-26 for the FY24 audit acceptance. Next item on the agenda is resolution 2025-28 for inventory disposal. I can have a motion.
So moved.
Please.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena. And with this, the disposal on here is just a surplus of an ambulance, of 2 ambulances that are out of service and a work truck on that deal. There'll be another full inventory disposal list that'll be brought forward to you once we have the full inventory completed. But these are 2 of 5 ambulances that are sitting outside, not being utilized by the town since we've received the new ambulance, as well as some other donated ambulances, and then the work truck that's out of service right now. Any questions? Seeing as there is none, Gloria, if you can roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you very much for that resolution 2025-28 for the inventory disposal for those 2 ambulances and the work truck. Next item on the agenda is approval of resolution 2025-29 for ambulance donation to Mesilla Valley Hospice.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena. And with this, I will have Cole come up. He does have a few comments on this before.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. There's just 2 letters that I'd like to read for you. I can email them to you afterwards if you require that for your paperwork. But one is from one of our members of the department. His name is Will Martinez. He serves as an engineer, an EMT intermediate, and he's also the shift lead for our B shift. I'm just going to start with his letter. He couldn't make it here tonight, and he lists that out why in his letter. He starts off with, Dear honorable members of the board, as the proposed donation of former Squad 32 is scheduled for discussion and vote, I wanted to take a moment, despite not being able to appear in person, to provide background and express my full support for this initiative. I am currently fulfilling my duties at Sierra Vista Hospital in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. However, I felt it important to submit this letter to assist my captain and good friend, Cole Morris, as well as to honor the trust both he and the chief have placed in me over the years regarding apparatus acquisitions and resource management for the department. Squad 32, a 1998 Ford F-350 wheeled coach ambulance, was originally donated to the town of Mesilla by the Columbus Fire Department in 2017. After years of reliable service, it no longer meets the DOT transport requirements for a 911 apparatus and was officially decommissioned following the arrival of our new Rescue 18 last October. Its gurney system has been transferred over to Rescue 19, which was a donation from the Eddy County Fire Rescue. So we pulled everything off that we could still use before it was just had to be toast. I've had the privilege of, sorry, my thing scrolled. I've had the privilege of spearheading the acquisition of 3 ambulance donations from Eddy County Fire Rescue, Albuquerque Fire Rescue, and Memorial Medical Center, helping to ensure the Mesilla Fire Department remains operationally strong without placing financial strain on the town. Now, getting into the donation piece, Mesilla Valley Hospice has expressed interest in repurposing Squad 32 as they are not held to the same DOT standards for emergency vehicles. This unit would be dedicated solely to patient transport. Hospice is currently facing severe delays in transferring patients from area hospitals due to private ambulance staffing shortages. These delays tragically result in patients spending their final moments in hospital settings rather than the hospice care they would like to have provided for them, where comfort and dignity are prioritized. This donation would directly improve their ability to provide timely, compassionate care. While Squad 32 is no longer fit for emergency response, it remains mechanically sound and capable of serving this critical role. Given its history as a donated asset, it's only fitting that it continues its legacy by supporting an organization dedicated to easing the suffering of our community's most vulnerable. Although Captain Morris as a supervisor will represent this matter, I wanted to personally advocate for this donation. The chief and the captain have entrusted me with the responsibility of acquiring and managing these assets, and I would like to see them appropriately transitioned to serve the community further, should the board agree. Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to seeing Old Squad 32 continue its service in a new and meaningful capacity. Is there any questions on this letter before I read the next? I'm sorry, they're a little bit long. This next letter comes from Mesilla Valley Hospice. It starts, Dear Honorable Members of the Board, for over 43 years, Mesilla Valley Hospice has been dedicated to providing compassionate end-of-life care to Doña Ana County residents diagnosed with life-limiting illness. We serve patients in various settings, including their homes, hospitals, nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and our residential facility, La Posada. As the only nonprofit hospice in the county, our mission is to ensure that every patient can live their final days with peace, dignity, and comfort, surrounded by loved ones. We have long benefited from AMR's reliable transport services, which ensure that our patients can move safely between homes and the La Posada facility. However, in recent months, we have encountered delays in patient transfers, resulting in distressing situations where some patients have passed away while waiting for transport. We fully understand the strain on the transportation resources, particularly with the increasing volume of transport requests in the 911 system. Although our transports are not emergencies, the well-being and dignity of our patients are deeply affected when they are left waiting without adequate pain management and medical care. To address this, we propose a solution that could both benefit Mesilla Valley Hospice and the community. We are requesting the town of Mesilla to consider donating an ambulance to support our mission, enabling us to transport our patients to their homes. This would reduce the number of non-emergency transport requests that AMR receives and would allow them to focus more on emergency and high-priority cases. We have already received clearance from the Department of Transportation to handle our own patient transports, and they would not be billing for this service. Your generous contribution would have a profound impact on the lives of our patients, easing the distress experienced both by patients and their families during critical moments. We deeply appreciate your consideration of this request, and we look forward to the opportunity to collaborate with you in continuing to provide compassionate care to those in their final days. It says, thank you for your time and your support, signed both by Lorraine Padilla, their ED, and Nina Salmon, their CEO. And those are the 2 letters I have. Any questions? Yes, sir.
I just have a comment. Thank you for the second letter about hospice, because I know they provide a valuable service and assistance to community members. And thank you for that.
Yes, sir. And even back, I used to work for AMR before I took my position here, and sometimes those delays would be hours. And these patients deserve to be transported right away. And the fact that we're able to give them an opportunity to do that, I pray that you vote yes on this resolution. So thank you.
Trustees, any other questions on resolution? The motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena. Gloria, roll call vote, if you would, please.
Yes.
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 Great. Thank you very much for approval of Resolution 2025-29 for the ambulance donation to Mesilla Valley Hospice. Next item on the agenda is approval of Resolution 2025-30 regarding Municipal Ordinance Jurisdiction Advisory Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena. With this, trustees, what we have here is in congruent with New Mexico NMSA 1978 in section 35-14-1 concerning the municipal court and creation of the municipal court. In 2023, there was an amendment that was taken and put in effective of July 1st, 2024 for changes to the sections of this where it allowed eligible municipalities that have fewer than 10,000 residents that are within 25 miles of a magistrate court not governed by the home rule, territorial, or special charter to pass a resolution of intent expressing the intent to possibly designate the magistrate court as the municipal ordinance court. This is in forming an advisory committee, which is what this resolution is for, is to form the committee to advise the Board of Trustees on the direction of this and where this can go. There will be, the process is the advisory committee would be made up of 7 different members, being the mayor, the judge, one of the trustees, the police chief, and then 3 residents that are designated by each, the mayor, the judge, and the trustees. The advisory committee would hold public hearings to gain input from the residents, and that input does include input that is given by the mayor, people that may have relevant interest. After that, the hearings that are held depending upon the amount of feedback that is given, the committee will submit a report on their findings to the Board of Trustees with the findings on that, whether that be to continue or to dissolve, as it was mentioned earlier, in that sense. And that's what this advisory resolution is for the Jurisdiction Advisory Committee to perform those actions pursuant with NMSA, as I stated, section 35-14-1 for the municipal court. I do have legal present as well if there's any questions on that side for legal. Trustee.
Oh, who's legal? Who's legal?
Rob.
Oh.
Rob is here with legal.
I'm used to the other.
Yeah, Ben.
I guess I haven't read the New Mexico statute on this, but could you provide an overview, of what the advantages would be to look at this change in the process? And given the size of the municipality, are there other municipalities in New Mexico that have pursued this route? So just a couple of questions to begin with.
So, Mayor, Trustee Nevadas, so the issue really would be cost. So right now, the magistrate court, we have a DA's office that is, my understanding, the DA's office currently is fully staffed and prosecutes those cases. And they have, of course, the public defenders handle those cases on the other end. And you would save those costs of both on the litigation costs of both defending and prosecuting the cases if you took it to magistrate court. As far as, I think there's other cities, and I know off the top of my head, because I don't really know, I know that the process has already been done by my firm. Minot Springer's already done that for a couple other small communities in New Mexico. I just don't remember off the top of my head. It's very recent.
And I guess a question about because the town of Messiah has a municipal code division to municipal court.
Yes.
So how does if the town goes down that route, how are cases handled pursuant to?
Well, so it's sort of like right now, because I handle prosecutions in the municipal court here. So and I'll give you an example. So cases automatically, if I win, okay, if I prosecute a case and I win, the defense has an automatic right to appeal or de novo case in district court. And I'm bringing this up because in district court, I have to bring the ordinances to them. I have to bring the ordinance, like an official copy of the ordinance. I usually just get the officer to say, hey, this is the ordinance. This is an actual true and accurate copy of the ordinance that we have to put into the record. And essentially something like that would happen where you'd have to, the prosecuting officer would have to bring in the copy of the ordinance in, as opposed to, you're not using a state statute. And you'd have to present it as part of as an exhibit. And you probably just get it in with a certification, a certified copy, or just have the officer testify. You're like, look, I'm familiar with the laws. I'm an officer for the town of Messiah's marshal's office. It's a true and accurate copy of the ordinance, and this is what I charged the defendant with, or whatever it is.
So it wouldn't preclude the town of Messiah from enforcing their own ordinances relating to.
Oh no, it'd be the officers, or it'd be the DA's office. I mean, it would be somebody that you would be prosecuting those cases. There wouldn't be a civilian prosecution. Those are actually not allowed. They've been not allowed since I want to say 2011. They used to have private prosecution cases. You could bring them in municipal court. They don't allow that anymore.
And if the process were, adopted to go to magistrate court, the party there could appeal to the district court.
Yes,
So the only thing you're looking at is.
Yeah, so I used to prosecute those cases as a DA a long time ago, and so if the prosecution wins in magistrate court, they get an automatic appeal and get into district court, and it's a de novo, meaning it's the same thing as it is here, municipal court here. You get an automatic redo. It's the same case is redone again. You have witnesses. Discovery is done over again. It's the same process.
By adoption of this resolution doesn't mean that we're going to go down that road. We're just exploring the possibility.
Well, yeah, it's a study of what you want to do as far as, because you could do all kind of mix of things. You could do it or not do it, or have the judge still have the municipal judge do certain cases, or you have a mix of things you could do.
So you're saying there could be a hybrid type of.
You could, and I'd have to look, and I don't know all the costs, and I don't know the statistics enough of not prosecuted the types of cases, that kind of thing.
It wouldn't eliminate the municipal court, or eliminate the position of the municipal judge.
It could. Well, if you went a certain route, right? But this ordinance itself, the committee itself, doesn't eliminate the judge. It just it explores what options the town has. What types of cases it has, the budget, that kind of thing. And then you're also trying to balance all the things as far as concerns about from the other end, the cost for the defense budget that you guys have to spend, or do you need to, because the thing is, another thing that I've been thinking about, because if an officer charges enough cases, right? If you charge enough things that you can go to jail with, technically the person has a right to a jury trial, and there is no process for a jury trial in municipal court. And you either have to dismiss cases, claims off of charges off the indictment, or not the indictment, it's the charging, the criminal information, or you take it, send it to the DA's office, take it to magistrate court so the person can have a jury trial.
So there's a potential that criminal cases could be dismissed. That's that what you're saying?
Just charges can be dismissed. So if you had a DUI with resisting arrest, and then a few other things that would have you would end up having the person would have a requirement for a jury trial. I mean, that's something I've looked at when I was a prosecutor for this, cases. Like, look, does this person have a right to a jury trial? And that's something you need to think about, is whether or not you need to take it to magistrate court.
Okay, because it just generates a lot of questions for you, because kind of surprised me to have this tonight, this evening to look at. So I'm just trying to.
No, I understand. Yeah, and like I said, if anybody has any questions about that kind of process or any of those types of things, the misdemeanors or that kind of stuff between magistrate court and municipal court, the slight differences, ask. I'm right here. I've done all those cases before, both in municipal court here and in Las Cruces. And I was an assistant district attorney, years ago, and I prosecuted domestic violence cases in magistrate court and a couple of DUIs.
I do want to add on some of that to answer some of your questions as well, trustee, just because I've done a lot of back-ended research, and I've spoken with the municipal league on this as well, in depth through every part of it, and the potential of that. So other communities that have near us that have been are Elephant Butte and Truth or Consequences. Those two in particular are two that Minot Springer has helped out with. Quest does another one up north, and each one of these has a specific. There's a specific resolution that's come forward through the process of the advisory committee, and each one is completely different on that. But depending upon what the report is that comes back from the advisory committee, is that if the process after that, if that is a recommendation by the committee for cases to be heard by, especially Mesilla municipal code cases to be heard by the magistrate court, we would then have to adopt an ordinance designating the magistrate court to hear the municipal ordinances and cases. Then we would have to have the Supreme Court approval on that, and then notify of all transfer of ordinances being heard by magistrate. That's one option there. On that, there is another municipality just down south of us in Anthony, where the Planning and Zoning Commission actually hears the codes cases for the town. That might be an option, but there again, that's something that would have to be reviewed. And I mean, that's what the municipal, that's the point of this committee, is to review all of that and make a full recommendation.
But throughout the process, we'll be able to see what best fits Mesilla and the process that would help Mesilla.
Most definitely. And at the end of the day, it's the board of everybody up here, the board of trustees approval at that, because it does require a super majority vote in that sense, for everybody on that.
Okay.
Whenever that resolution, or that, not resolution, but whatever the findings of that committee are.
And as I understood, that doesn't necessarily mean the elimination of the position or the court.
No. It could happen, but it doesn't mean that.
Doesn't mean that.
Not at all.
No, I'm just trying to clear in my mind, because that kind of.
It's exploring the options.
Okay.
At the end of the day. That's what the advisory committee is for. Other questions, trustees? Any? So with that in mind, there is a motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena, for Resolution 2025-30 for Municipal Ordinance Jurisdiction Advisory Committee, as it's been noted. And if there are no further questions, Gloria, if you would roll call vote, please.
Trustee Cadena?
Yes.
Trustee Nevares?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick?
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 3 yes.
Thank you very much for approval of Resolution 2025-30 for the Municipal Ordinance Jurisdiction Advisory Committee. Next item on the agenda is approval of Resolution 2025-31 for code update for Section 5.5 concerning business registrations.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, second by Trustee Cadena. I'll open it up for discussion. And this was the resolution that was brought, or the ordinance change that was brought to you in the last meeting for business registrations and the late fees associated with that to make it uniform. Any questions? Seeing as there are none, Gloria, if you would roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick,
Yes.
Trustee Nevares,
Yes.
Trustee Cadena.
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 3 yeses.
Thank you very much for approval of Resolution 2025-31 for code updates to Section 5.5 or 5.05 concerning business registrations. Next item on the agenda is approval of Resolution 2025-32 for code update to Section 9.10.170 concerning fireworks.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena. This was actually the ordinance update that we had brought to you back in, we did the public hearing back in October, and the board approved the change to the code in the latter part of November. We just haven't, between Gloria and I, we haven't had the opportunity to reach out to the code company until now to get that updated. And with that, in talking with the representative from the code company, they noted that there needed to be a resolution with that in order for the adoption of that, not just the approval of the board. And we noted that we had the approval on the agenda, but we did not have the resolution to go with that. So that's exactly what you have in front of you with this resolution. The changes that were made in there, as it was noted and requested. Any questions? Since there is none, with the motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena, Gloria, if you would roll call vote, please.
Trustee Cadena.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick.
Yes.
Trustee Nevares.
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 3 yeses.
Okay, thank you very much for approval of Resolution 2025-32 for the code update, Section 9.10.170 concerning fireworks. Next item on the agenda is approval of Resolution 2025-33 for code update, Section 18.33 concerning historic preservation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Nevares. And I will open it up for discussion. With that, this is the same as the previous. It was a code update to 18.33, adding that sixth section, which is at the end of that ordinance, in order for historic preservation, in order for us to apply for the CLG certification in that. So this is just the formalization resolution of the vote that took place back in November of last year. Is there any discussion or questions?
No.
Seeing as there is none, with the motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Nevares. Gloria, if you would roll call vote, please.
Trustee Nevares.
Yes.
Trustee Cadena.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick.
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 3 yeses.
Great, thank you very much for approval of Resolution 2025-33 for the code update to Section 18.33 concerning historic preservation. Next on the agenda is approval of PZHAC sign case 061993 that the town of Mesilla submitted on a sign application to install a 40-foot steel sign at Park of the Commemorativo with the words Mesilla in the historic residential zone.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena. And I will open it up for discussion. This was the sign that was brought forward to you in a work session recently. This was also in the public meetings that we've had in a couple of weeks ago, getting public feedback. And then it did go through the Planning and Zoning Commission as well with their approval. And that's what you have in front of you today. Any other questions? See,
I just had a question because it was a 4-1 vote, right? And I don't need to know the person or anything else, but was there a reason for or was there any discussion relating to this?
The vote was pretty much unanimous, and even the one that voted 4-1 no felt that it was a little bit too much for Mesilla. Wanted to keep it as far as the size of the lettering and in the park. But yeah, it was more of a, everybody knows what Mesilla is. I don't think we need a big sign that says Mesilla. But as I explained, I think it's more of a tourist, pictures. People like to take a lot of pictures. People like, there's going to be some lighting, changes color, things a little bit, adds a little bit more to the ambient, I think this is for tourism. So yeah, that's pretty much what it was. It's just the size of
Thank you, Mr. Salazar. Any other questions? Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena. And if there are no further questions, Gloria, if you would roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick?
Yes.
Trustee Cadena?
Yes.
Trustee Nevares?
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 3 yes.
Great. Thank you very much for approval of PZHAC sign case 061993 for the town of Mesilla. Next up is approval for PZHAC sign case 061995 with condition for the town of Mesilla submitting a sign application to replace an existing sign on the corner of Avenida de Mesilla and Calle del Paseo with some small design changes applying in the historic commercial zone.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena. We will open it up for discussion. I think the condition that was on there was for the sign to be consistent with current signage, but also to have wood upright frames, correct?
Yes, I should put this. When I looked at the pictures, I looked at the signs, and I looked at the drawings, to me, that it appeared to have been made out of lumber. That was my assumption. I apologize. Most of the time, the one signs that I thought I've seen were out of lumber. They were because historical, they've been just in there for so long. In my understanding, this proposed sign is made out of square tubing, and the commissioners felt that it needs to be consistent with the other signs. And to quite be honest, I don't know if all the signs are lumber or all the signs are made out of metal. I do know whether they're square and they look like wood from a distance, right? So yeah, that was their main concerns, that to be consistent with the other signs in Mesilla. As far as the materials went, they'd be made out of lumber because that's what we all thought that they were all made out of. I'm not exactly sure, again, even up to this date, if that's true or not. But yeah, that's the condition, is to be consistent with all the other signs, so that way there's uniformity in the design in the town.
And just a note on that, in the design on that, it does have, it is to be in steel as it presently is right now. I know it looks like that sign that's on that corner does have that appearance of having the wood beams, but that's actually angle iron that goes up that gives the appearance of that. And it was to match that, the consistency, and that was what the ad hoc committee had talked about, inconsistency as well in the signage. And we also see a lot of the other signs in town also having steel, but we see our monument signs in particular with our highway monuments. Those ones are the larger wood ones, and those ones are wooden indeed. So it's at the direction of the board on whether we keep it as steel as it was originally designed by the sign company and what's sitting out there right now, or if we go with wood and those uprights. So
yeah, and maybe if I may, obviously, the made out of steel to look like wood will last much longer in weather, sit out there much longer and don't have to maintenance and repaint it and such.
I think that was the intent when I was talking with the sign gentleman, because he's the same one that made that one that's there. And he had noted that one's been there for probably 15, if not 20 years. So it's been there for a while. So.
And that one is steel, correct?
That one is steel.
So what do we do with the condition then?
Yeah, as the board, you can change.
With an amendment?
You can amend it.
I would like to propose an amendment to change that condition.
I'll second
that.
State the full amendment, if you would, please.
Relating to the condition that it be made of wood material to go back to the original design using steel.
Okay. To maintain consistency, right?
Yes.
So amendment to PZHAC sign case 061995, motion to amend to go back to the original design with steel for consistency by trustee Nevadas,
Second.
seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick. Any discussion on the amended condition that's on the floor? Gloria, if we can have a roll call vote on the amendment made by trustee Nevadas, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick.
Trustee Cadena,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick,
Yes.
Trustee Nevares,
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 3 yeses.
Great, thank you very much for that amendment. Is there any other discussion on the approval of PZHAC sign case 061995? Seeing as there is none, original motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by trustee Cadena. And this would be for approval of the PZHAC sign case 061195 with the amendment as it's been approved. Gloria, if you can roll call vote, please.
Trustee Nevares,
Yes.
Trustee Cadena, yes. Mayor Pro Tem Merrick,
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 3 yeses.
Great, thank you very much for approval of PZHAC sign case 061995 with the amended conditions. Next item on the agenda is public input, where the public is invited to address the board on any other matters. If you would step to the podium and state your name for the record.
Hi, good evening. My name is Lauren McBurney. I am just hoping to maybe put on the next week's agenda that we could talk about the impact of the construction on University to the residents there. I would like to discuss the current and the future impacts to the residents. Current as in we recently had our fence and flower bed damaged by heavy equipment. They drove on our flower bed. And then future, there's a lot of trash, and I'm thinking because of the foot patrol or the foot traffic that's going to be there because of the walking path, it's going to be a lot of trash from pedestrians. So I'm wondering who would be in charge of cleaning up that mess and what the city is going to do for that, as well as any current impacts. And Ben, I didn't know if you had any.
Yeah, I do. I've got something to say whenever she's done.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And did you have any questions or?
It's just public comment, so we received the information from you.
Awesome, thank you.
Definitely. Thank you.
My name is Ben Schmidt. I'm Miss McBurney's neighbor. We both share the concerns, same concerns that we have on the construction. Regarding the current road improvement project, including the walking path directly behind my property. I appreciate the town's efforts to enhance community spaces. I believe this specific addition poses significant safety and security risks to my family and neighbors. Currently, the area behind our homes already has been the site of multiple concerning incidents, including cars running off the road and landing in people's yards, frequent gunshots. We have muzzle flash on our cameras from the backyard going down University. A high-speed chase that ended on Old Farm Road where a guy ran into a fence, and then the murder that happened about 600 yards from our backyard. So I think with the walking path and the elevation change, because our backyards are 2 feet lower than the walking path is going to be. So we're going to be having a lot of runoff, a lot of things like that. Erosion, different things like that. Privacy concerns. So now our fence, I can pretty much just step on my fence and walk right over. Privacy and security. Somebody can go in my backyard and just grab whatever they want. Some people that had 4-foot fences, now you can just walk right over them, get whatever you want out of their backyard. So, yeah, it would leave our homes vulnerable to trespassing, vandalism, and other safety threats. The walking path would also create serious privacy concerns.
It would lead to increased noise, litter, impacting both peace of mind and our property values. Given these issues, I respectfully urge the town to reconsider the location of the walking path, or at a minimum, construct a substantial wall or similar protective barrier to separate the path from residential properties. A physical barrier would greatly enhance safety, discourage unwanted foot traffic near the private homes, and help protect residents from the existing dangers in the area. I would appreciate the opportunity to discuss this matter further and request information on any upcoming public meetings or consultations where this issue can be addressed. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Other public comment?
Nora Barasa. To finish up my comments was, there was a community survey posted on social media seeking input from, quote, you on the needs and opportunities for the community. Has this survey been mailed or made available to all Mesilla residents, other than by computer, cell phones, etc.? Not all residents are on social media or are familiar with technology. I have not received a survey by mail or at home. So that's one concern. The other is animal control, not necessarily animal control, but MRVDA. Last Thursday evening, I called the non-emergency number and reported a dead or possibly dead animal in front of Chalas on Highway 28, Avenida de Mesilla. Codes enforcement didn't call me till the next day, Friday afternoon, telling me he had just received the call from MRVDA, and that is a major concern. Just because it's non-emergency doesn't mean we have to wait 24 hours for MRVDA to send the call into the Town of Mesilla Marshal's Department. I know we pay MRVDA a hefty amount to take care of our calls, so I definitely am concerned about that. The other thing I'm concerned about is our sign and night sky ordinances not being enforced. According to Ordinance 18.65.120, no sign or advertising structure as regulated by these guidelines shall be erected in a 30-foot clear sight triangle of any street or in such a manner as to obstruct free and clear vision. I think on the corner here of Calle de Santiago and Highway 28, we definitely have an issue going there. It's a matter of time before an accident does happen in that corner. Cars are parking right up to the edge of Highway 28. And then it also says, signs shall also conform to the site distance as Mesilla Town Code 18.60.340. So that's a concern that I have, that we are not enforcing our sign ordinances. Also, sandwich 18.65.135, sandwich board signs will be allowed for a 3-month trial period upon approval of the ordinance codified in this section by the Board of Trustees. They are only allowed in commercial zone and at the town hall. And as you can see, all over the town of Mesilla, we have sandwich boards. 18.65.180, illumination. Thank you. No signs that flash, blink, revolve, or are otherwise in motion, vary in intensity, or seem to be in motion shall be permitted. And that, Eddie just said, we're gonna have a sign on Highway 28 that's gonna be blinking or changing colors. That's a concern. And our ordinance does not allow it. No sign shall have illumination outside of the face of the letters other than gooseneck lighting. There shall be no neon or similar lighting, exposed bulbs, or any moving parts or lights that give effect of moving parts. We have neon signs are coming up in the town of Mesilla. One is right across the street from us at the Rose House, I guess. Gooseneck lights with reflectors shall be permitted on projecting signs, freestanding signs, and wall signs, provided the illumination falls upon the sign so as to prevent glare upon the street
or adjacent property. Non-blinking electric signs shall, including neon signs, may be placed inside windows and glass doors, provided that their proportions are not in excess of the window area so allowed in Mesilla Town Code 18.65070. Interior electric signs must be approved by the Board of Trustees or their designated representative. And the number of permitted signs, a total of 2 exterior signs may be allowed to each store or bona fide place of business. We have noticed on Highway 28, in the plaza across La Posta, the Julian store and the stores next to it, they have all these signs and they're also displaying their merchandise outside their business, which is not allowed in the ordinance. And it says it should be unlawful to construct, erect, and maintain a sign or other advertising structure in violation of the provisions and guidelines of this chapter. The other one concern I have is outdoor lighting. On Motel Boulevard 292 at the residence of 1010 South Highway 292, they have lighting at that house that looks like Fort Knox. It's shining on the street and all around their house. And it does say in the ordinance, residential and commercial outdoor lighting fixtures and devices shall be fully shielded and aimed downward in such a manner that light rays emitted by a fixture, whether directly from the bulb or from the fixture, are restricted to regions below an angle of 15 degrees beneath the horizontal plane running through the point on the fixture where light is emitted. Fixed and adjusted floodlights, spotlights, and security lights shall not exceed 1,800 initial lumens, shall have a total beam width of less than 110 degrees, and the beam center shall be directed at least 65 degrees below the horizontal plane. Any light shining onto an adjacent property or street which results in light trespass, a nuisance glare, or a disabling glare shall not be permitted. And if you go by there in the evening, the light that is on the highway, it does distract the driver and I think is a hazard. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Barraza. Any other public comment? Seeing as there's no other public comment, we'll go into our next item on the agenda, which is closed executive session. This is for discussion concerning attorney-client privilege matters pertaining to threatened or pending litigation in which the public body may or become a participant pursuant to NMSA 1978 Section 10-15-1 H7. If I can have a motion to go into executive closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Trustee Nevada, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick. And if there is no discussion or objection, we will enter into executive closed session. The time is now 7:22, and we are retiring into executive closed session.
You guys are all leaving me? Don't leave me.
We're thirsty. We're thirsty and we're cold.
Cold, mostly. And, I don't know why. No shoes.
Sucks because I have to talk. We have fire yesterday. Oh, they did? Yeah, I'm glad. It's us, the county, the city. Results, 3 houses. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Ah?
You feedback?
Yeah, I just had to answer the phone.
We're on vacation?
Yeah, they're visiting one of his sons over in Illinois.
Whenever he's gone, who do I get to sign his permits? Send to you?
Sure, yeah, I mean, I just gotta clear with him and see if it's something I can do.
Yeah, I was gonna talk to him, but he went on vacation, I didn't know he was going, but, you know, it's understanding, I know he's a busy man, but, when they turn in some permits, I need to have them reviewed by fire, you know? And just talk to him, see maybe he can, do that, and it looks pretty simple, but, before I bring him into the P and Z, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, no, I'll talk to him about that and see what he thinks.
cool. Yeah, cause I sent him one today, and I don't know if he's gonna be able to see it. I mean, he's on vacation, he shouldn't have to, but, I mean, it kinda sucks that the applicant puts in the permit 2 weeks ago, and then you have to wait another 2 weeks, you know, so.
Yeah,
I need to get a little bit.
my biggest task now that I'm starting to figure out my job is trying to make him not have to do so much. That way we can kind of split the tasks.
That's good. That's good. That's what I tell them, it's my job here is to make your job easier.
Yeah, and I have to break that every day.
I thought, you should be out there kissing babies, man, let me be the bad guy. Yeah, one thing he mentioned, and I don't know, yeah, obviously, you know, he's a professional, I respect whatever, that's why you review. Who might argue with codes, fire, I don't read them, I just, sometimes when, not just fire, anything, CID or even sometimes the board, you know, you look at your reasoning and your common sense of if that's correct or not, you know, based on your experience, you know? And it's something new that Greg's brought up that I think it's important to look at is that, you know, a lot of these homes are at orange zone, right? And, you know, they're 20 acres or whatnot. And they're new residents, and he's right, he has a concern that, you know, if they build a home in the middle of a 10-acre lot or a parcel, you know, the concern is the driveway, because it's not really a road, right? Because the road is public access, is the driveway from the public to the structure safe enough or adequate enough for your fire truck to go in.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, it's not in town, but a perfect example I think of is as you get over off of, I can't remember exactly what street it is, but going into like Berry Acres as soon as you come off the interstate, or the ramp that goes to the interstate, there's some houses up there built on top of these hills where the driveway is this big and you can't get up there because it's straight up.
Yeah. Yeah, so Mike, I mean, I don't know if that's gonna be, he mentioned that, you know, the CFR adopted the newest 2021.
Yeah, so 2021 right now.
Yeah, so I don't know how to say this, because if that's the case, then, you know, I need to get all the information I can, so whenever they submit the applications, I need to be able to make that a requirement, you know? And also the, you know, the turnaround with the 150, more than 150 feet, you know? So anyway, that's pretty much what this was about. I mean, the engineer fixed it, I mean, he redrew some site plans and that take care of it. So yeah, more and more, it's kind of a new one on me.
Yeah, it's just one of those little things when it starts getting into codes and stuff, it's like,
It's just weird because, I mean, there's a lot of these homes out here, not just in Mesilla, like everywhere, Romana County, probably most of it, and they're all off of farm roads, you know what I mean? And some of them follow the EBID ditches, and they're all made out of clay and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, we have to get better, right? And we have to, you know, just because it's there doesn't mean we should follow that example. Obviously, that's not a good mentality, but
it shows
I just figured, how do you guys do it? How do you guys get back there, you know?
somewhere something fell through the cracks and they didn't have to, pay however wide or whatever, you know. But yeah, there's been some sketchy situations of us trying to get trucks in the spots where it's like, we probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah. But, you know, for the sake of saving lives, right? I mean, you gotta do the best you can, right? It's one thing here that I noticed is going along with that is subdivisions, you know, that most of the subdivisions that I come across here in Mesilla, they don't have private roads. You know what I mean? In the subdivision that I know of, you wouldn't know the developer, installs all the infrastructure, which is more about roads, sidewalk, gutter, curb, fire hydrants. And then when he's done with the subdivision, the town absorbs that road as a public road, right? Most of these farmland, that's where you see the frescoes, it goes all the way down, Mateo goes all the way down, those are all private roads, how do you get your truck all the way back? And I think that's just the mentality that they've had, that I'm just gonna subdivide it and as long as it meets the code and, they don't really. And there's one huge one over here on Zura, right next to the Messiah Circle.
Oh,
It's another one that's like, man, that road is clearly in our subdivision approval, it states that that's a community road, and whenever you're done developing and you get it up to standard to where it needs to be, it belongs to the city. And that's kind of the big, but it's still a private road and it's privately owned, right? So in their mind, their misconception is, well, this is my road, why are you trying to take it away? And that's not what we're trying to do.
Actually.
Yeah. So yeah, it's difficult.
That's always going to be the most hard is managing people. I mean, we all deal with it every day, on our jobs. We're pretty much all customer service people first.
Yeah.
And dealing with people is probably the hardest part, because you want to make sure that everybody stays happy. And it's hard to make everybody happy, but we got to do the best we can.
You have to try to follow the intent of the fire code or municipal code, whatever, so keep that peace, right? To prevent, but when it's something that's already previously to get it fixed, sometimes you gotta rip that Band-Aid off, sorry, man, it just, but, and then I understand, at least a lot of people here are pretty passionate about their town. I agree that's good, but it's just so many changes I think has happened that hasn't been for their benefit. They don't want change, but before you didn't have paved roads, before you didn't have running water, before you had outhouses, you guys, how far back do you guys want to take this, right? So yeah, I just.
I've always heard people make the joke, well, electricity is not historical.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's not get into the weeds there.
Let's not go that far, right? I think every individual person, or type of person, I guess, has their own individual needs, and it's our job to try to make them get along, try to help them get along.
Yeah, best we can.
Best you can. But it's not gonna always happen. Now I have to call Public Works, try to get that fixed.
I know.
That's a code violation right there.
I'm gonna put
Fire's gonna give you the red tag this building.
Take a picture and send it to Chief.
I gotta put in a work order to Public Works.
You just hit that, grab a hammer and just break that tile right there, you make a hole and it won't slide.
Yeah, it's because it's missing some screws, and that's why it doesn't.
Except that rubber on it's probably just worn out and it's slippery.
It has What you all doing, everybody?
I told her the meeting was over.
Well, I got cold in here. What?
No, it's not in here. All right, the time is now 7:38 and we are returning from closed executive session, only discussing those items that were concerning attorney-client privilege matters pertaining to threatened or pending litigation, which were the public body is or may be a participant pursuant to NMSA 1978, Section 10-15-1H7. And only those items discussed during the closed session were discussed as is. If I can have a motion to return to our regular meeting, please.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, motion, second by Trustee Nevades. If there is no discussion or objection, we will exit executive closed session and return to our regular scheduled meeting. The time is now 7:39. We will be resuming our regular scheduled meeting there again, stating that only those items concerning attorney-client privilege information were discussed in closed executive session. An item on the agenda is for approval of any actions that may arise. There were no actions that were arising out of closed session. So moving on to the next item on the agenda is Board of Trustee Committee reports and liaison updates. Start with Trustee Nevadas.
I don't have any.
Trustee Cadena.
I don't have any.
Mayor Pro Tem Eric.
I have none.
I will say I have none too, because I've been trying to focus on resolutions and budgets. So, even though I have had tons of meetings, but we'll touch on those in the next meeting. Our next order of business is Board of Trustee and staff comments. We will start with the Marshal's Department.
Good evening, Mayor and trustees. I don't have much. Sergeant Hernandez and Deputy 3 Lopez just returned from the first annual New Mexico State Police Women's Law Enforcement Summit. They said it was really eye-opening. They made connections, great speakers. Sergeant Hernandez had been to one that Farmington Police put on last year. So she said it was a nice change of pace for New Mexico State Police one. What else? There was a fire yesterday on Glass Road that Sergeant Hernandez and Deputy 2 Nanez responded to assist with traffic control. They had to close down Glass and Snow because of, it turned into what, 2 structure fires?
Almost 2, but it ended up being 1 in multiple vehicles.
Yeah. I'm talking about it because Deputy Nanez was proud to tell me that he helped save a pony from the fire. So I wanted to relay that to you guys. Yes. We ordered and should be, or waiting on the arrival of new outer carriers and updated ballistics and body armor for all the deputies, as well as IFAC kits that will be worn on the vest or belt, which will contain quick clot, chest seals, tourniquets, bandages. Learning or watching the videos from the Young Park shooting, just hearing all the officers saying, do we have a bigger medical bag? So the IFAC is a start for us. And then our TAC medic, Sam McBurney, and Chief Whitehead are going to help build first aid medical backpacks that will be in our units for any event that we need to respond to. What else? I think that's it. I'll be heading to Albuquerque for a Chiefs of Police meeting. They're going to go over legislation that is aimed at law enforcement, good and bad. So hope to bring some stuff back from that. We're prepared for the Cinco de Mayo fiesta this weekend. My interns will be working shifts to handle the crosswalk here since it's not clearly marked. They'll be out there to escort people throughout the day, both days and night. And then Mounted Patrol should be assisting us in patrols in and around the plaza as well. So I'll stand for it. Oh, as for the ACO that Ms. Barraza brought up, we've been having issues. I think everyone's been having issues with MIRVDA. There's a lot of new faces over there between call takers and dispatchers. So I'll look into that one and see if it was truly 24 hours. I know if it happens at night, Codes Garcia doesn't get called out unless it's an emergency. So Central usually just pens it. So when he goes 10-8, but there's been instances where he doesn't get a call until later on during that day. So I'll remind him that when he goes 10-8 to ask Central if there's any pending calls, but I'll also look into the time frame of it as well. I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall.
Oh, and the 2 new cameras on the plaza, I'm not going to tell you where they are, but they're already benefiting us.
I don't like it.
They're already
Take them down.
they're already benefiting us, and can't wait to have more on there. So that's where I stand on that. Thank you.
Geez, I'm gonna have to wear a disguise on the plaza now.
Mr. Morris, Fire Department.
Sorry, you guys get to hear from me again. And I brought the iPad. That means I wrote something down. So I just want to take a moment and provide an update regarding an event that occurred yesterday. As Marshall Escalante brought up, there was a structure fire on Glass Road, 2800 Blackwood Glass Road. The fire department, obviously us from Mesilla, also responded with Doña Ana County Fire Rescue and the Las Cruces Fire Department. Due to the adverse weather conditions yesterday with the wind, the situation became increasingly complex as the fire developed into a wind-driven event. Something with fire, the more wind you put on it, the bigger it's going to grow, and it just becomes very, very dangerous. Although this incident occurred closer to the town of Mesilla than I currently am to you, our department was not the first to arrive on scene. As you know, we rely on volunteer personnel for our fire and rescue services, which can occasionally delay immediate response. However, the level of support we were able to provide was critical to the overall mission, which includes saving lives, protecting property, and preserving the environment. We were able to respond with an engine company comprised of 3 personnel who established a critical water supply and successfully protected an exposed structure in 2 vehicles which had active flame impingement upon our arrival. In addition, we deployed 2 brush companies, each staffed with 2 personnel, who stopped the progression of and extinguished a brush fire that stemmed from the initial scene. And lastly, we provided a rescue company of 2 personnel who delivered vital rehabilitation support and hydration to firefighters working under extreme heat and adverse conditions. Our readiness and ability to work seamlessly alongside the city and the county greatly enhances our collective response to large-scale emergencies. While the fire did not occur within the town of Mesilla, this incident was only minutes away from our station. The only factor delaying our arrival was the time needed to assemble sufficient staffing. I am incredibly thankful for the volunteers who risk their lives at a moment's notice, dropping everything to serve people just like you and me as they did yesterday. I stand ready to answer any questions you guys may have. We got to use the Mesilla hydrants, so they worked very well. Places in the county don't have hydrants like we do, so I was very glad that we had some right there. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your services. Public Work, Mr. Lorenzo Astorga.
Mayor, board. I don't have that much either. Just a couple of quick ones. The Calle Santiago Bridge is the culverts are in. The skeletals to pour in the sidewalk. They're so that way it has at least a whole month to cure before the and get that ready for the water to come. So that one is getting done. To go off of Ben's, the NMDOT is supposed to be out there tonight. Tonight they said, and go in tomorrow. They want to get everything done, of course, by the time Fiesta comes. So hopefully, fingers crossed they're out there. Depending, there's not a bunch of wind going on or what, at nighttime. And as far as the public, with the university project, it's really hard. I try to get a hold of, the certain people that I can to talk to kind of bring them down. But, I always have my finger crossed. At least one will say, hey, you know what, join us. But, I'll keep on trying just to, bring us back as much as information as I can from them, to give to our residents and hopefully give them a little bit of peace. And, with that, I stand for any questions.
Well, on that project, I mean, there was originally a fence that's not going to go up.
I have not. We haven't seen no. That's a
Are they in Mesilla, these people that were here today?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Because I didn't want to ask them their addresses, like I was going to go out and do something, but give me your address. So it just sounds. So this was the plan. The plan's going as scheduled and so on and so
Yeah,
forth.
well, again, that's an NMDOT project, and whatever the previous administration or however that came about, into discussing what was going to go there, how that was going to happen. Of course, it had to have been talked to, but as far as we were aware, I couldn't give you a direct answer to that.
Well, I think what Lorenzo and you were in that meeting as well is that what my understanding is that there was originally some sort of wall structure or divider that was planned, but funding fell through for that part. So it didn't come to fruition. But I think that that's also a potential capital project for the town of Mesilla that can be
Future.
taken into consideration, you know?
I mean, are these plans all available right now? Like
They're
we can-
available online through NMDOT.
Through the
website.
NMDOT website. Mhm.
'cause it seems like there's gonna be, because this is gonna go on until next year, so.
Yeah, and as they keep on breaking more and more of that the irrigation ditch there for it to go underground, that's where we're getting a lot of the people coming up from behind Capri Arc.
Yeah, if you haven't driven down that way lately,
It's different.
Now, is the bridge, are they, the bridge right there, the canal,
Mhm.
is that bridge changing at all? Is it?
that's already done.
Yeah, it's already done. It widened. It widened and made it more sturdier for the sidewalks and the road, improved. They might have curved it slightly, but I don't think so because it was straight, but
Now had this weird little curve in it and that stuff. But anyway, I haven't gone and looked at it.
Mhm.
I just think we're gonna hear it about it. all the
Yeah, we will.
Isn't the curve temporary because they're gonna realign once they get all the paving done?
Yes, everything will get it. Yeah, it's gonna get.
Okay, so right now there could potentially, because it didn't sound
It
like.
does curve a little bit, but it's because of the paving.
Right,
Mhm.
so it's gonna be,
It'll realign again. Mhm.
yeah, okay, geez.
And then the other question they had was just maintenance and trash upkeep. Is that us?
That will be us, yes.
Okay.
We will, becomes our.
It becomes our-
within our jurisdiction, it becomes our.
Really?
I just wasn't
ours to
sure
keep
because
up.
it's not technical. Well, it's not our project, so I wasn't sure if it was us. or
Yeah,
not.
I wasn't too sure about that, but and I know that between the NMDOT with other projects, there's always been agreements. So I'm sure that was one of.
Agreements that are formed with that are between all entities that are involved, but it's the entity in which the project lies that generally accepts the full responsibility of the project once it's complete and the upkeep of the project once it's complete.
So his description of the walking path being like 2 feet above the property, does that sound right?
So you have to think the ditch, it's at 5 feet above the property. So the ditch is no longer there. So it's in line.
Still elevated.
It's the road, and then it's still elevated to the elevation that for a curbing side. And that's what you see. It just drops down in because the properties do sit below that side. Yeah, I highly recommend you drive just one
Yeah.
of these.
It's different.
Take a hike.
But you do have to go around either Bowman or University to come this way because it's only one way that way.
Go the right direction because we're calling people over.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or you can go the opposite way and then just be aware. You're
Walk over there.
The other project we have going on that started today, I believe, is the planters on the
plaza. Mhm.
It's the planters that are around the two big pine trees. Those are being leveled, and then they'll be filled with bricks to help so that that's not a liability. Number one, with that being such a step down, but also there'll be park benches that will go around those trees for extra seating that we already had. So, and that will be done and ready by the weekend.
Yeah, they already got a lot of the crusher. One of them is already filled with it just for the bricks ready to start laying. Mhm.
It's awesome. Super fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Economic community development.
Good evening. I don't have anything. Three real quick things. I just started a largest tax. Now that we passed the STR, I started the investigation on largest tax as far as who's paying what, and then put that together. Soon I'll be getting with Mayor to contact the platforms online to be able to get our ordinance to them, so that we can be on the same page with that. I'm not exactly sure how to do that. I tried it once and it didn't seem to give you much consideration. I think maybe an attorney or something like that might help. To COG and record management, we already put together a proposed SOP policy for records management specifically for our department. There's a lot of records out there, I think, that we don't need. A lot of clutter. It's hard to keep things organized and the space with the amount of records we have out there. So obviously, we're scanning them all. We're not going to destroy them or anything like that until we have everything scanned, saved twice. But as far as a physical copy, I think it's hindering our operation more than anything. And lastly, COG, I asked Liana. She feels comfortable. She put together a proposal for some amendments to our. She said some small amendments to our Chapter 18 to meet the remainder of the COG after talking with Carter, and then we can move forward on that. I expect to have that not this Monday or coming up Monday, but the following Monday, 19th, I believe, to be reviewed, presented to the P&Z, and hopefully, if the all goes well, it'll be on your lap meeting after. And I stand by.
No questions? Okay, bye.
Well, what's the deal with, so we implemented she was talking about the STR, Miss Lucero, that the business license for her and her STR is $65. Is that what she was talking about?
I believe it's just.
She said the $50 was the late fee.
I believe it's just it just gets word gets out. It just gets misinterpreted, and then that's why she did call. I wanted to talk to her. I wasn't able to today. I actually called her a couple of times. She didn't answer the phone, but left a message, kind of playing some phone tags. But I believe when she paid for her STR license normally, which is a business license, how they always had is $35. But we passed these ordinance, the STR ordinance. We provided public notice as we legally have to with all the places that we normally do. We sent out the letters that the code is not required, that they have to be certified, right? And we passed the ordinance. The ordinance was passed. It's $65 to renew your business license along with a permit in order to operate an STR, short-term rental. Now, the late fees still haven't been implemented yet because we're waiting on the resolution that was approved tonight. After that, then obviously there's a grace period of usually it's 30 days, and then if they don't pay their business licenses on time.
None of this really happened.
Other than the $65 that she owes, I think that's the only thing that's really concrete.
Pass the STR.
And we put the notices out as they needed be. So.
I don't know if we can. It's one of those things. Just because you don't know about it doesn't mean it's.
Didn't happen, right? Like I said, but
make sure we notify. Just say we've changed the ordinance. Here it is, but not as a mail because that's expensive to mail everything. Oh, you did.
So we got a letter stating exactly what got changed and
all
what
the
is-
STR.
Yes,
Mhm.
because they send out notices for your business license when you're about.
Oh,
to
that's right.
renew.
You sent out all those notices, so it was just.
So it's kind of like, I didn't get it. It's kind of like the opposite, right? The checks in the mail. You balance that, but.
I just thought that was the case, but I just wanted, because then we just have more people, saying we didn't know or nobody told us or whatever. And it's just nice when we, even if we sent it out on the bills or whatever, but anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And to send out a certified mail, it gets very expensive. You're looking at $8 of some sort, and then for something like, it just gets very expensive.
It's responsibility of the business owner to find out what they need to do.
Exactly.
I would like to say, well, I'm not going to pay my bill because I didn't know, but that's not how it works in life.
Yeah, I think maybe I haven't talked to her, but I think maybe her argument is she had already paid for the business license before the STR had passed. Maybe that's the only, maybe she's, but our deadline of March 15th still hadn't arrived yet. You know what I mean? But usually you open it up 30 days before to start paying it before in advance. That's a possibility because it's very close to the dates. But either way, if it passed, you still, if you paid for already, you still owe us $65.
Fine. Thank you so much.
All right. Any other questions? Nada?
Thank you, Eddie. Miss Gloria.
Same old song. Nothing's changed, okay? We're moving forward.
That's not true.
Well, we can do it. It's just that we're trying on. We're really trying hard to get those findings. But yeah, it's the same old song. It's still working on budget, but we're working on budget. Trying to clean it up.
Well, it's good because we went from 7 findings to 4. And this year, we're going to have
You know,
2 or
some of
less.
those findings were.
We're going to try to get to 0.
We didn't know. And so we cleaned it up. You're on the agenda, it's the certification inventory. It's going to be on the next meeting. And that's going to take care of that. So for you, they're taking care of.
That wasn't from
That wasn't
from this administration, for clarification.
So, we're working on that.
I'm not gonna. I almost said it earlier, but all right. Anything else, Laura?
It's okay. I mean, I don't know, as long as I've sat on here, there have always been findings and they were,
We want it to be.
I know,
perfect.
and they were a lot more serious than they are now.
All right.
That's the thing, they were serious. These are not.
Material.
I mean, they're.
Hopefully we can keep them.
Trustee Nevadas.
What are we talking about?
You're up. Trustee comments.
Oh, I attended a meeting of Herencia Mi Mesía, and they're doing really good work. And Pat Taylor's really, making a lot of progress with some of the structures around town. So, and they really complement the preservation efforts of the town of Mesía, I think, in the long run. I understand the telecommunications facilities amended ordinances on through planning and zoning. All right, so hopefully it'll come here sometime.
Well, did you want that on the agenda tonight? Because
No,
I
no.
thought about it, but then I was like,
A lot of reading for people. So
yes. We'll actually probably send that out to you later this week. That way you have
That'd be
an
good.
opportunity to read it.
Please.
Right? Maybe? Okay. Anything else, Trustee?
No, that's it.
Trustee Cadena.
No, I hope the fiesta goes really well. I won't be here this weekend at all. I have a big thing going on in Mimbres, of all places. But so good luck with that. And that's it.
Thank you, Trustee. Mayor Pro Tem.
I've got nothing this time.
What?
It's been busy week.
I understand. I get that. It's been, this whole month is crazy. I do want to share that, Lorenzo, and on another side note, because I just thought about Lorenzo and I have been taking the 2 TPF projects and taking them through the process. So we went through the second round of meetings with them, which was through the, oh my gosh, which one? We see TAC next, right? The Technical Advisory Committee, but we saw the Pedestrian Committee, BPAC, last. So, and they were all gung-ho and good. We're, like I mentioned before, we're the only ones that had applications in, so that's a great thing. So we're getting closer to that. The submission date for that application, or for those 2 applications, is the second week of May. So we'll be getting all the documents finalized and updated, and all the necessary recommendations that were made by Department of Transportation before we move forward with submitting that application fully. So that's a good thing there. We have just a couple of reminders, of course, with Fiesta this weekend, starting at 11 o'clock on Saturday. There is, if for those of you that didn't get it, and if you are available, there is a Rio Grande Trail meeting at the community center at 9 o'clock, 8:30 at the community center. But it's talking about the Rio Grande Trail and all of the trail going all the way down. So really utilizing the levy right now and really bringing all the stakeholders to the table to look at that. And so that'll happen before the fiesta, and then they will have a table set up during the fiesta as well to talk to the community about that. And Dorothy's got quite a few new things for the fiesta planned out. And as I mentioned earlier, during the work session, sorry, I was trying to remember if I did. We will have tents over a part of the bleachers this year, just to give a little bit of extra shade and figure that out. Remember that next Monday as well, on the 5th, that we do have our joint session with the Planning and Zoning Commission here at 5 o'clock. And that's to go with Site Southwest to go through the comprehensive plan and the information from the survey, but also to gain feedback specifically from the elected and the appointed officials. And to drive that in. And then the following day on the 6th is the meeting at the community center to have the second community meeting, which is, I believe Dorothy posted as well. With that noted, as it was mentioned by one of the residents or questioned about that survey that was sent out, we did post and send on, I think it was at least one utility bill, if not two. We had at the bottom to fill out the survey with the survey link. I had Jacob put that on there. And then I also noted that residents could come and fill out the survey here at Town Hall and leave it here. But we haven't had anybody take advantage of that. That survey is still open for the next 2 days. It closes on Wednesday so that they can gather, Site Southwest can gather all that information and put it together. They did provide me with an update of some of that along with Eddie. I think you were in that email, right? From them, it was about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago that they sent that, and they have a little over 60 residents that have gone in, or 60 participants that have gone in and filled out that survey, which is good, but we want to try to get more information. So hopefully we continually grab that. Good. Be ready. I will say we might have, and I apologize ahead of time, but we might have a couple of special meetings that we might have scheduled throughout this next month, just so that we can move the budget through the process and get the budget approved and get that taken care of by its due date, which is the end of May for the preliminary budget. And that's all I have. So if there is no objection, I will call this meeting adjourned. 8:07. Thank you all.